regarding the bill, you know, it's when you pass so many bills, it's hard to read it. Yes, you need to read it, but the problem with the bills that we have right now, instead of when they have the healthcare reform bill, they're shoving in other bills inside, other issues inside. And one of my campaign issues is one bill, one issue. This way you're not going to have a 2,000-page bill that nobody can read and no one has the patience to read all that, and they get tired after 27 pages. You know, if you have it, and it's very simple. The Arizona immigration bill, it's 2 pages. Simple English, anyone can read it. Very easy. So that's one of my main issues. One issue, one bill. And regarding your Charles' comment, I have to say I read your Dallas News Morning application for endorsement, and they ask about illegal immigration and how you deal with that. And I don't have the exact quote because I brought some cheat sheet with me, but not about this issue. You wrote down there that after you get elected, you'll deal with that. So isn't that, well, I'm not reading it. After, you know, first of all, vote for me, then I'll deal with that, then I'll read it. Isn't it the same issue?
So you want me to that?
Yeah.
So
that's
first
what
of all,
you said in the Dallas News Morning.
You know what? That's a debate between you and me now. So first of all, I'm against amnesty. That's definitely. Number two, we need to secure all the borders, not just for illegal immigration, not just for between Mexico and the United States. It's for national defense, national security. We need to do that. So what I refer to in that is we need to find a solution. How can we send back all of the 14, 15 million illegals? We need to stop all the benefits. Since our government is wrong, they give those illegals all the benefit, so they don't want to go home anymore. Yeah. So we need to do that. Stop all the benefit. Take away all those. So I have a veteran, came back from Iraq, working for me. So he was sick. He went to VA hospital. It still cost him some money for medicine, this and that. But, you know, illegals went to hospital, went to Parkland. Cost nothing. What kind of a government we are? That's the reason I want to find the solutions. And in answering your question, you don't want to avoid the problem and the issues. You have to be frank and find the like-minded congressman, you know, handle the case instead of avoiding the case. So that's my great answer. So I believe we cannot ship back all the 14, 15 million illegals without securing the border. So they will come back tomorrow again. Yeah. Right? So you will waste all the money and the effort and the time. So you got to settle it. So that's what I really meant.
Come up and answer a question or two. I'll keep it real short. About 7,000 new bills were introduced during the last Texas session. If we made a rule that you cannot introduce a bill unless you can prove that it's constitutionally sound, there'd be a whole lot less bills. And then absolutely you need to read every bill before you sign it, and not only read it, you need to understand it. A test might be a really good idea because then you know that they understand what they're about to pass. That's it. Thank you.
I would not vote for any bill unless I read it. At the county convention last weekend, we were passing resolutions from our county convention, and it was getting late in the day. People had been there all day, and people were ready to go home and get the thing over with. And there came up a vote to. I think we had 53 resolutions to vote on, and we were on number 12? 13. And then someone came up with the idea to pass the rest of them as a block of resolutions, and I was one of the few people that voted against that. So already I voted against passing things without reading them. And, Because, you know, and I stood up at the time and I told people, I said, look, our founding fathers fought a bloody revolution for freedom. A bloody revolution. They died. How many in here would want to die for freedom?
No hands.
How many of you would much rather sit through a county convention for a day? I would. I'd much rather do that.
I thought that was the same thing.
I mean, you got to think, folks, if we want our elected officials to do this kind of stuff, then we need to do this kind of stuff. Or maybe we are being properly represented if we won't do that kind of stuff and the people we elect won't do that kind of stuff. I remember reading a story about Benedict Arnold before he became a traitor. He was leading some men up into Canada to fight the British. And they were crossing, I believe it was the Delaware River, and it was winter time. And they had been on the march for several weeks, and they were out of food. They had already eaten all their dogs. They had eaten some horses that had died, and they were hungry again. And they were wearing moccasins. So what did they do? They started boiling their moccasins and making broth out of it. And I just want y'all to think about, they did that for freedom, for liberty, to gain their liberty and freedom. And all we have to do is sit through some meetings. And I'm very grateful to all of you for still, the ones that are still here that haven't left yet, to be informed, because it's the least that we can do. And in regards to the test, I had never thought about giving all the congressmen a test before they vote on something, but I think it's a great idea. Let them take a test and see if they've actually read what's in the bill and know what's in the bill.
We just need to be careful about who grades it.
I'd like to see a test given to all of our elected officials on the Constitution and the founding of the country, and to see how much they really know. I'm sure that our president knows the Constitution like the back of his hand. The only problem is he opposes every bit of it.
Okay, Gordon, one quick question, please.
Okay. I have a question one for the state level and one for the federal level that deals with issues that no one's brought up here tonight.
How broad a question is this? Is it a 20-minute response question?
I think they're fairly simple. To the state representatives, I would ask, what is your opinion of your responsibility to govern the PUC to get rid of the smart meters that these people have brought that do infringe on our rights? It's going there. That's to the state level. To the federal level, what will you do to fight against the UN putting their programs into our country? And I don't wear a tin hat when I'm talking about that.
Well, I'll answer the thing on the smart meter. I'm 100% opposed to smart meters. They're anything but smart. In the consumers, in their case. Now, and on the public utility side of things, they are very smart because they are screwing people out of a lot of their money. And I'm 100% opposed to smart meters. And I'll do anything. I'll introduce a bill. I'll vote for a bill to ban smart meters in Texas.
I agree with the same thing that TJ's saying. It's an invasion of privacy. We should not allow it. We should introduce a bill to have them removed and not allow the invasion of privacy by companies.
The UN? Oh, everybody's favorite organization, right? Well, if you were signing up to my newsletter, you would have gotten the one from yesterday in which one of the third final paragraphs of it talks about how we need to remove our funding from it 100% and remove our membership from it because it is not in our best interest. And I would introduce legislation for it, and I would fight to that end, because in June, Our president is sending our Secretary of State to the Rio Summit. And the purpose, if you have read the agenda of that Rio Summit, is to support Agenda 21, which is a one world government system that would destroy our sovereignty and would impose upon us what they're recommending, $1.5 trillion in worldwide taxes against the wealthy nations to redistribute that wealth to the poor nations. Guess who's number one on the top of that list as a target? America. We are. It's bad enough we got a president who wants to redistribute our wealth amongst ourselves, much less redistribute our wealth amongst the rest of the world. Therefore, what would I do? I would be willing to introduce legislation and get up on the floor of the House and argue and fight for defunding the UN and saying we are terminating our membership in it. And if you guys don't like it, you can take the UN and go relocate it to someplace else.
No, I have a different approach. Have you heard, you don't go to tiger's den, you cannot grab the little tiger, baby tiger. So if you get out from UN, how would you know what all the other 200 countries are doing? So we do need to stay in UN so we know what's happening in the world. However, the big problems are two problems. Number one is our country contributes $2.1 billion a year to UN, and it equals to 23% of the operating cost of UN. That's the problem. Why we need to contribute 23% out of 200 some countries? Is that ridiculous? That's number one. Number two, another big problem. They use the money to give to our enemies. That's the biggest problem. So we need to solve those problems. When I get into Congress, I need to keep eyes close, watch on that. The third thing is they promote how we call it social engineering. Emphasize the welfare. By using, we want to keep the world in peace. That's another wrong thing. Fourth, other than the social engineering, we talk about Agenda 21, Frank just mentioned. So they're trying to slowly, gradually deteriorate our countries by putting all the people together by using a great name. Here's what? Sustainability. Put 100,000 people together in a very confined area. Then you want to take a dart bus, emphasize pedestrian friendly. So something like that. So we need to stop that. But I do believe there's a need to be part of the UN.
I'm actually happy you brought sustainable development. First of all, we're the strongest country in the world. We're the richest, we're the biggest. We don't need to be in the UN to understand what's happening in the world. We don't need to pay in, we don't need the membership over there. And I think it's ridiculous being in the UN. It's an organization that have countries like Iran and Syria and human rights. And we're supporting it financially. It doesn't make sense. No sane person in the world will support something like that. For a fact, Israel did withdraw its membership from a lot of committees of the UN as a response to those. And I think we should defund the UN and cancel our membership over there. Regarding Agenda 21, here I'm going to use my cheat sheet a little bit. May 8, 2008, you were mayor of Edison, right?
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. And you were against sustainable energy development, right? Just out of coincidence, we have a press release that your office has made, and I'm quoting, this is an exact quote of you. Mayor Joe Chow, we deeply appreciate UDR working with our town to give us the opportunity to have our vision come to fruition of a greener Edison with a sustainable world-class community.
Okay,
isn't that Agenda 21?
Let me answer you this. You have to understand, 3 years ago, there is no Tea Party.
Yes, there was.
Yes. 3 years ago, there is no Agenda 21 this definition.
Agenda 21 started in the 80s.
So, back then, there's nobody talked about Agenda 21. I learned about Agenda 21 back to last August, and I was in Carrollton Tea Party. So, at that time, all the council voted for it, and I signed it. But that's for the purpose of reducing the cost of the taxpayers. So actually, at that time, it was the right thing to do. But now, since we understand UN is behind all this, so definitely, I will be against that.
So if you understood it then, would you have been against it?
I-
Because you're saying now you understand it. Does that mean you did not understand it back then?
I did understand, but at then, there's no association with the United Nations.
Oh, yes, it was. It started in the 80s with the United Nations.
That's not something I like.
But I have a comment for what he said, because I have another cheat sheet.
Why
like to cheat
does
a
that
lot,
not
yeah.
surprise me?
First of all, in the debate, you said you lowered property tax.
Or lower property tax rates.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And now you said that you voted for Agenda 21 because it lowered property tax rates. So, out of Edison's website, this is not me, this is again Edison's website, page number 2 of the budget. From 2008 to 2011, you were mayor of Edison, right?
That's true.
Property tax rates, not the income, rates, went from 0.43 to 0.53. That's
So I can answer that.
23% increase
I can
while
answer-
you were mayor of Edison.
I can answer that. You will understand property tax rates. In 2006, 2007, I reduced the property tax rates 2 years in a row because Edison's economy was so good, so great. So we decided to lower the tax rate so people don't have to pay so much taxes. But in 2009, since President Obama was in office, you all remember the economy just went down like a hell. So 2009, 2010, 2011. So I already fought hard along with my council members by freezing hiring, by not allocating money for the reserve fund for the technology. So manage that will only increase very slightly. If you can go check every year by year, you can find out that. I have been a hard-working mayor, protect everybody's right. How often you see other cities with a lower property tax rate? You probably never. But when the economy was good, I lowered property tax rate. Economy is bad, I increased just by smidgen. And by allocating the money, freezing hiring, so I brought all the financial discipline from my business.
Okay. No more questions tonight. I don't know about y'all, but my eyelids are getting heavy.
Cindy,
Sir?
continue going at me. I have 1 minute. I haven't said anything. I can indulge you 1 minute, promise.
All right.
And that is hard for an ex-preacher to do.
No
No.
rebuttal.
I appreciate all of you being here tonight. Our country is in dire straits, and I applaud you for having the interest in the future of our nation. Thank you for your effort and for your devotion and for your love of freedom. If I can close with the quote from the patriot that I started with tonight, Patrick Henry. He said, "Liberty should be the end goal of your government. Liberty is the greatest blessing on earth. Give us that precious jewel of liberty, and you can have everything else. Because if you don't have liberty and you've got everything else, you've got nothing. But if you have nothing but you've got liberty, you have everything." And that's what I will fight for, because that's what I believe in. Thank you so much. I'm Frank Bouchard. I'm number 1 on the list in Ellis County. If you don't remember the name, remember the position. Thank you so much.
Wait. Don't leave. Don't leave. One more thing. Not you. You can leave. Jimmy has something to say, and then I have one more thing to say.
I had a request from
know.
from one of our candidates here tonight, and he requested that if you heard anybody here or any candidate that you liked, support them, get behind them, give them whatever kind of support you can give them, whether it be money or time. So do that, and if we do that, it's a good chance we might win this thing.
Okay. Ronnie wanted to say something, but I know everybody's, you know, backsides are probably weary, so. Okay, what I wanted to know is, would you be interested 2 weeks from now to have another forum with county candidates such as Rodney Ramsey and Patrick Wilson?
Yes.
DA candidates. The commissioners candidates for the two, precinct 1 and precinct 3. Would you be interested in attending that?
Sure.
Okay. Honestly, and this is just my personal assessment, this is not Tea Party, I'm just saying this for myself. The two races that I can tell you mean the most this time around in this county are the DA's office and the commissioners. Because unless we can clean up the DA's office, unless you have ever had yourself, a loved one, or a friend that had to come face to face with a prosecutor, unless that's ever happened, you have no idea. You just think they're fighting a good fight. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. So we've got to have honesty and transparency in the DA's office, and we've got to have county commissioners who are willing to say, you know what? Y'all worked real hard for those 2 dimes that we're rubbing together, and I'm not going to spend them. So let's talk about it. The leadership will get together and see when we can do this. But maybe in a couple of weeks before the primary early voting starts, we'll do this again. Would y'all be willing to go? And the Ellis County Tea Party website, go to that. We'll have it everywhere we can put it. So, all right. Thank you all for coming so much. Okay, Randy wants to say something.
I know we're all tired and everything, we're ready to go home, and believe me, I am too, but did this mean something to you tonight? Did you get something out of this? We really appreciate everybody being here, but what are we going to do with this now? We've got a lot to fight for. Let's get out there and talk to our neighbors, talk to the people across the street, talk to the people you run into at the grocery store. Let's take this information we've learned tonight and let's do something with it. Let's get energized with it. We're the Tea Party. We're the ones who make the difference. Do y'all agree with that? Yeah. Let's go home.